3:30. I hate to disturb all of the conversations and everything, but we do need to start on time. So, good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Just another typical, just check your cell phones real quick, just to make sure you've got those on stun or whatever. Turn them off if you like. Appreciate that. This is the February 13th, 2024 Hardin County Fiscal Court regular voting meeting. So let's begin and call this meeting to order. We'll start with a roll call.
Squire Clem. Here. Squire Hicks.
Here.
Squire Muse.
Here.
Squire Pennington.
Here.
Squire Saltzman. Here. Squire Thompson.
Here.
Squire Whitehead.
Here.
Squire Yates.
Here.
Judge Tall.
Here. All right, we have our invocation with Magistrate Whitehead and Pledge of Allegiance led by Magistrate Saltzman.
Please pray with me. Father God, we come to you in prayer today to ask that you bless us with your light. Help us to serve you through our good deeds to others. We pray that you fill our hearts with compassion and respect for one another. Guide us in the direction that pleases you, O Lord. We ask you to watch over our families, our neighbors, and our community. May all that we do be in your glory and your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Just a few comments. Again, thanks for joining today. Appreciate all of you being here. Especially, I always enjoy our mayor of our northern part of the county. Still in Hardin County, right? All right. Very good. Thank you. And so, let's take a moment and just review the agenda today. We next will approve our minutes from the last meeting. We have, thankfully and grateful to have some comments from Fort Knox, Garrison Commander, and so we'll introduce him in just a moment. We'll have some presentations. Actually, our animal control, Mike McNutt, is not here, and I didn't really expect him to be, but so we'll have to bypass that part of the presentations. So we'll have a presentation from emergency management. There's written reports. We'll have a time for any citizens' concerns or comments. And we have 2 ordinances today to go through. And then our consent agenda is pretty heavy today, and I'll run through that and explain what's in there. And then we'll wrap up with our typical comments at the end of the meeting. Okay, and as we'll be talking about here in a minute, I mentioned Fort Knox. I just want to remind all of us, remind myself of how important Fort Knox is to this community. And I think sometimes we take it for granted. I know growing up here, I could hear the booming periodically off in the background, and you would think, is that thunder? No, it's a clear sky. So that's Fort Knox, and always think about how important that was and what that meant to our community and to this state, to this nation. And so it's just a reminder, I think, as we have some representatives here today, to be thankful and remember also from the point of view that I looked this up today, and they have a $1.3 billion payroll annually and $4.8 billion with a B billion in annual economic impact to this region. So again, just a reminder of how fortunate we are to have Fort Knox right here in Hardin County. All right, so with that, we'll move on to approving our Hardin County Fiscal Court January 23rd, 2024 minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, there's roll call.
Squire Clem,
Yes.
Squire Hicks,
Yes.
Squire Muse,
Yes.
Squire Pennington,
Yes.
Squire Saltzman,
Yes.
Squire Thompson,
Yes.
Squire Whitehead,
Yes.
Squire Yates,
Yes.
Judge Tall.
Yes, motion passes. Sorry, I have a cough drop in my mouth because I've still got this cough for about a month now. So I'm trying not to, as soon as I say it, I have to cough. Excuse me. So the next is our informational items, and today I'm very happy to introduce Colonel Chris Ricci, and he's our Garrison commander at Fort Knox, and he's got some information he wants to share with us today. So I'll just invite you up to the podium, and just glad to see you today.
Glad to see you too, Judge.
Thanks.
Hey, leaders, I really appreciate being here today and being able to share some updates we've got here on Fort Knox with our digital air-ground integration range. I hope by the end of this presentation, each of you have an understanding of the development that's been taking place across the last 5 years. So first off, everyone, I'm Colonel Chris Ricci, the Fort Knox Garrison Commander. Lifelong Army brat. Last time I was at Fort Knox was 2002, actually going through tank training out there. Unfortunately, my installation looks a little different now. All right, but
We agree, unfortunately.
yes, sir. So I appreciate you, Judge Tall, and the Fiscal Court for affording me the opportunity to talk with you about a range on post that is about to reopen. More specifically, I plan to highlight what the range is, the types and expected frequency of associated training, and why we believe it is prudent to address the Fiscal Court as part of helping promote awareness and understanding. I'll start by quickly going back 8 decades. A significant portion of Fort Knox's southeastern area, which is known as northeastern Hardin County, called the Rolling Fork Tank Range, came online in 1943. It was later renamed Yano Range after Medal of Honor recipient Rodney J.T. Yano, and has been one of the primary Fort Knox ranges throughout its existence. All manner of tank, Bradley fighting vehicle, aviation, mounted and dismounted training have regularly occurred at Yano Range through the years, as mentioned by Judge Tall before I came up here. And up until the Armor School moved to Fort Moore, Georgia, the range was active about 200 days a year. Following the Armor School's departure in the 2010-2011 timeframe, the range was still in use for up to 150 days a year. That is because there are few ranges that offer what Yano does. So units across the Department of Defense come here to train. It's a massive footprint, and the Rolling Fork River Basin is flat, which allows ground units to maintain long line of sights to targets. Back in 2010, which is again, was when the Armor School was moving from Fort Knox, the Army determined that newer, reimagined, and more advanced technological ranges would be needed to improve the training our service members require in order to be best prepared for any future conflicts. And thus, the Digital Air-Ground Integration Range, or DAGR, was born. Fort Bliss, Texas, and Fort Knox were chosen as 2 sites for such a capability to be built at active Army military reservations. So why Fort Knox in particular? There are several reasons. Yano Range already fit the profile for the type of range needed for a DAGR, so it would cost less to construct at Fort Knox. For perspective, its improved footprint is about 3,650 acres. When you include the footprint of the impact area, which is essentially where ordnance will or would likely detonate or impact, we're talking about a 9,900 acre facility. It's up to 5 kilometers wide, about 3 miles, and at some points and 8 kilometers long, about 5 miles. Having Yano Range in a hot or in-use status causes minimal to no impacts to other Fort Knox ranges. The same definitely cannot be said for ranges at most other Army installations, where other adjacent ranges need to be closed, impacting our ability to train the whole force. The 101st Airborne Division out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, by virtue of their mission and significant aviation assets, requires a dagger for training. And as the crow flies, they're only about 115 miles away. Pretty easy helicopter ride. Additionally, Fort Knox's central geographic location in general is advantageous for our Army as a whole. Lastly, Llano Range was due for an upgrade, so all these things came together, the timing worked out pretty perfect. Llano Range officially closed for its overhaul on August 1st, 2018. So for about 5+ years, that range has had no training activity. If you hung outside your home, you might have noticed. It's been a little quieter, all right? From 2018 to 2020, work was concentrated on unexploded ordnance clearing. From 2020 to 2023, it was mainly construction. The last 3 months were dedicated to target installation. And from now through May is the final phase, where we're doing control system integration. In all, we're talking about a $56 million project across that last 5 years. So when the ribbon is cut in May in Llano Range, what types of training will occur and how often will it be utilized? While we do anticipate more aviation use, the range will have similar types of training as before. So again, we're talking virtually all types of tracked and wheeled vehicles, utility and attack helicopters, fixed-wing aircraft, artillery and mortars, and dismounted training. Put simply, Dagger is the largest and most complex live-fire range that the Army utilizes at a home station. It's a game changer because the instrumentation on the range allows for the true integration of air and ground unit training. The level of performance feedback will also be much more advanced and increasingly thorough, thanks to the multitude of systems that integrate with one another to provide detailed information and analysis. In truth, this type of modernization and training capability are what's needed to meet the military demands of today and tomorrow. As far as actual range utilization, that picture will become clearer as time goes on. What we do know is that the 101st Airborne Division down at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, has an annual Dagger training requirement of just over 200 range utilization days per year. To add to that, there'll be other units east of the Mississippi River coming here to use the Dagger range. The bottom line, Llano Range is expected to be just as utilized as it has been for the last several decades. So it's fair to say, with the exception of the last 5 years, it's going to be back to business as usual on Fort Knox. So to recap, I've got 3 major points. Number 1, this Dagger range is a big deal for the Department of Defense, the Army, and the greater Fort Knox community. A $56 million investment, especially in a range, is quite significant, but it's been made to ensure our troops are the best trained in the world. As our most recent former Chief of Staff of the Army, General James McConville, often said, winning matters. It absolutely does, and part of that equation entails our troops getting back home safely. And I know and am thankful that the people of Kentucky agree with these sentiments and support our military like none other. Number 2, Fort Knox is a world-class installation. It's a multifunctional Army post home to 9 general officer commands with central roles in recruiting, training, and supporting the warfighter. The fact that we are only one of 2 active Army installations with a Dagger further illustrates the value placed in our 106-year-old Army post and the critical roles it plays in supporting and defending our nation. Number 3, this is not a newly created range with never before heard training activity emanating from the southeastern area of Knox. Far from it. In fact, it's still Llano Range from 1943, albeit with significant upgrades to keep necessary pace with change. I've only been on Fort Knox since last July, but I've been made aware that the subject of Dagger has been communicated over the last several years in various forums. The news media, Chamber of Commerce events, Knox Regional Development Alliance engagements, Compatible Use Plan, open houses, meetings with area and elected officials and civic leaders, engagements with area planning and development officials, and realtor associations and more. So this really shouldn't be news or surprise to those living near Fort Knox. That said, as we all know, There may still be some who say they were caught off guard when they hear Llano Range training. We're trying to avoid that as best we can. This is where we kindly ask for your assistance in spreading the word and helping people understand, especially in the event you receive questions from your constituents. For added context, when it comes to military training, we don't do any more training than what is necessary due to a multitude of considerations. This includes being a good neighbor, being fiscally responsible, and making best and most prudent use of service members and units' time. At the same time, we as a nation have a solemn obligation to ensure our troops and units can maintain critical capabilities and readiness during the daytime and nighttime hours. While training occurs on Fort Knox virtually every day, and even up to 100 training events in a single day at times, we do put out notification on occasions when it is believed training will be particularly louder than normal. It is an imperfect science because it's hard to predict atmospheric conditions that have a vote on noise levels, but it's a step we take to provide a heads up. That includes posted messages to Fort Knox Facebook and X, formerly Twitter, as well as emails to local judges and executives, mayors, and law enforcement agencies. In closing, I hope this presentation provided a helpful overview. Team Knox is very thankful for today's opportunity to speak with you, and we recognize and appreciate how good communication goes a long way toward awareness, understanding, and appreciation. And as the mayor of Fort Knox, I can certainly say that we appreciate all that Hardin County does and means for our Fort Knox connected families. This is a wonderful place at which to serve and live. I'd be glad to take questions, or if you prefer, reach out later with questions. That's great too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Sir, I just want to thank you for your service. I took my basic at Fort Knox. I was a Ranger with the 101st in Vietnam, so I appreciate you being here, appreciate your service, and I'm 100% behind the military.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Colonel Ricci, I also want to express my gratitude and appreciation for your service. And I'm looking forward to hearing more noise in the future. That makes me feel secure. That makes me know there's you folks are out there protecting us, and it just makes me feel safe. So I'll do my best to communicate and spread the word of what's to come. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Colonel Ricci, I appreciate your service. I was wondering, nighttime versus daytime training, what percentage or?
So to be fair, sir, way too early to know. Okay. But absolutely something we'll continue to communicate. It's kind of like when you build a new shop, in Elizabethtown. It takes a little bit to get the word out. Okay. Same kind of thing happens when new range capability comes out. So we're going to get a unit up here. That unit's going to get phenomenal training, and then that unit's going to tell other units, that's going to tell other units, and it'll spread. So really, it's probably going to take us a little over a year to truly understand kind of the norming of the range utilization process. Okay. But we plan on definitely communicating that as we get a better understanding.
Thank you.
How long does these trainings typically last when they come in from different areas?
So you all may or may not know now, but with that 115 miles for Fort Campbell, there's a whole lot of training that comes out of Fort Campbell that no one in Hardin County ever really knows about. Those helicopters take off, they come up, they check in at range control, aviation to tower, they execute their live fire, and then they fly home. So all that can take place in a day. Now really with the Dagger, what's a really neat capability, I'm an infantry officer by trade, so shooting on ranges is what I've done my whole career. But this thing has the ability to execute a multi-week live fire progression series for a ground maneuver unit with an air unit. So really that span of time, sir, it'll be rather transparent to folks off the installation, but we're expecting anything from a day to a multi-week operation. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for your services. Just a quick question, clarification for me. So most of the units that are going to be utilizing it are not stationed at Fort Knox?
Yes, sir. When you look at the current makeup of Fort Knox, I have a significant amount of senior folks in our Army that either conduct all the human resources for the Army or do a lot of what we call accessions, bring people into the Army, whether
Right.
that's recruiting command or cadet command for soldiers or officers. Our other tactical formation that's on Fort Knox that fights, that does war fighting, that's a 3-star headquarters responsible for the current Ukraine operation.
Right.
Those folks aren't typically the kind that use a range complex like
Gotcha.
this. We're really talking about tank battalions and infantry battalions, whether that's from the National Guard or the active component. So outside of the Kentucky Guard, a lot of people are going to have to travel a little further to get here.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Utilizing the rail to get some of the equipment in, or how will that work?
It's all potential, sir. It's all potential. So we just completed our latest rail study. So we understand how we could grow that capability, but we still continue to have the ability to rail in equipment at this time, sir.
That's what makes Fort Knox so great.
Yes, sir.
All the different capabilities to get it in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, the county may not know, I've got 264 folks on Fort Knox getting ready to deploy to Kuwait. So, and those folks came primarily out of West Coast states, but they came here to Fort Knox to finalize their training, and we're pushing them out the door.
Thank you, and if you could pass it along to them, thank them.
I definitely will,
We'll be
sir.
praying for them.
Thanks, sir.
Any other questions, comments? I was wondering if, before you leave here, if you could introduce your team that you brought with you today, just to recognize them.
Gotta stand up, guys, let them know.
Yeah, I'm Ryan Ricci, Fort Knox Public Affairs Officer. I'm Roger Benson, I'm the Range Manager of Fort Knox. Dan Muscle, the Environmental Chief.
And so I think through this, you kind of recognize who they surround me with, right? So I don't know how the judge might feel a similar way. I always bring smarter people than me to these kind of things, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, we very much cared about environmental impact. And throughout that 5-year process, that's been a big lift with us, with our mission partners to ensure. And then Rodney, I call him jokingly, he's responsible for all the noise. All right? But you know, him and his team have been working hand in hand with Big Army on figuring out what exactly the capability is going to look like as we've been executing that contract build. And then Ryan, he tells me what to say. Let's be honest. All right.
Yeah. I don't know, do you always listen to him?
Most times. Sir.
Okay, good.
Good.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for coming and taking time out of your all's busy schedule to inform us and allowing us to inform the constituents as best we can. And we just, again, very much appreciate all of you, your service, and so very grateful for you. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Don't
it.
be a stranger and come back.
Yeah, anytime. Anytime. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you.
All right, so next on the agenda, we do have, excuse me, Joey Scott, and give us an update on emergency management.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm gonna do the January report for emergency management. Like I said, that's hard to follow there, so. So I always come with you all with the Hardin County Fire Report. I think it's vital that we get them statistics out there for the community. Next slide. For month of January, 233 calls of service in the unincorporated areas of Hardin County. And Judge, I'd like to say a little bit about 8 Hardin County volunteer fire departments during this last winter storm really stepped up and answered the call of service for us as emergency management. We set up warming shelters at their stations. They were gracious enough to allow us to do that and participate with us. So we really appreciate that. So if you see some of the fire departments out there, and I know you, some of the managers came last night to the Chiefs Association meeting, we appreciate that as well. Just give them a thank you for us. So, all right. Activity report for the month of January. Healthcare Emergency Response Advisory Coalition meeting. That's our monthly meeting we have with them. Blue Oval SK, the chief engineer, we're meeting once a week now, myself and the fire chief engineer down there, just on activity and progress they're making. Just kind of keep an eye on what's coming into the facilities, as well as any kind of chemicals. We're getting updated on that as well too. So Kentucky Fire Commission State Auditor meeting, set in with them this month as well. National Weather Service meeting. Seems like recently we've had a lot of those meetings. Red Cross board meeting, snow emergency meeting, and our snow action after action planning meeting, which we can always learn from what we're doing and try to make it better. So that's what we had this month. Emergency responses, another eventful month as well. I-65, we had a fuel spill that started at the 99-mile marker and went to the 90-mile marker. So, and that just hit right in the middle of the large rain and snowstorm as well. So that was hard to deal with. We had some citizens assist during the winter storm, taking fuel, making sure people have proper heating during this winter storm, the temperatures we had. Made a response to I-65, 83-mile marker with multiple vehicle accident on the bridge due to ice during the storm as well. And Franklin Crossroads, we made a run down with a car in the creek due to the ice as well. And also assisted with snow removal of Hardin County government properties. Started training this month as well. Richard DeWitt, my deputy, did a great job. He's been starting a program. We had first aid CPR training with Hardin County Clerk's Office. First aid CPR training with the road department as well. HASCOM communication training through Hardin County Road with Hardin County Road Department as well. Healthcare emergency response and coalition active drill. We participated in that in the month of January as well. And winter weather training exercise with the EOC. We set up our emergency operations center. We can use that as a training exercise as well, because all players come to the table and help us get it activated. Community outreach, spoke with the news enterprise regarding the mass casualty trailer at EMS's project that we're kind of collaborating with them on as well. Monthly county report with Quixie, WHAS storm report for Hardin County. And the next thing I'll speak about, we've got a Facebook page now, and I didn't have anything to do with the Facebook page. I'm not a social media guy, but Crystal Leo and Megan McDougall, we sat down and discussed it, and it's what a tool this is to have for our agency. And I found out really during the storm, we made over 12,000 contacts on that page. So all of our information was shared 12,000 times. So I thought that was just impressive. And like I said, I give all the credit to them. They do a great job of promoting the page. The next slide you all look at is just kind of a breakdown of what portions of Hardin County this Facebook page reached out for, and who viewed it and how many times they viewed it. And even the very bottom page is 0.1% from Germany. So that was pretty impressive there. So those ladies do a great job, and I really appreciate them being on the team. So that's been a really good tool that, like I said, I'm not used to using social media that much, but they are, so I'm proud of them. Next portion, I'm going to have Richard DeWitt come up and talk about the OSHA Constellation visit. So, Richard, if you would.
Magistrates, Judge, I'll do my best to be brief, because I've done asked the judge if I got Mike Nutt's time to speak, and he let me know quick that I didn't have. So the ones of you that have seen that movie, Horror for Arthur, I have the gift of gab, so I will do my best to keep it short. Back in November, we had the first of two OSHA consultation visits. There was a lot of concern. What if they come in? What if they find things that we need to correct? What if it costs us a lot of money? Well, this was a visit for them to come in and to find anything that they felt like we was doing wrong, and a chance to correct it without being fined. Now, the group that came in this time, those two of them came in instead of one, so we had a seasoned veteran and we had a new person that really wanted to look hard. And everything that was found and everything that needed to be corrected, we spent less than $100 for every bit of it. And, big part of this, I wanted to commend y'all because, I taught servant leadership. It is the upper people that support the people that are doing the work. But when it comes to safety, your top people are the ones that control it. And for all that the magistrates and the judge have put into the safety program here, very proud of it. I've had several other counties contact me. One county was upset because they had $180,000 worth of items that they needed to correct. We are still, and part of the reason we waited this long is we was waiting for the report to come in because I've turned one of the OSHA consultants that came here, I guess, into my new best friend. One day we talked 5 different times. And he has told me he has already sent his report to his supervisor to be looked at. And every item that was found has been taken care of. So it will come back with no issues whatsoever. And like I said, altogether, and I'm using a high dollar, I really don't think $100 was spent to fix everything that they had. And a big part of it was some training. In this building, they had to search so hard to find something that they made a joke out of it. In one of the offices, they found a water bottle for a plant that didn't have a label on it. And he laughed, he said, well, I guess we finally found something. So that's what the judge and the department heads have put into it. Come the 27th of this month, they will come back. Like I said, it was a 2-part visit. The first part was the hygiene, looking at the paperwork and looking at some of the safety. And then the second part's coming back in, looking at some of the written programs and also safety. But, I'm confident that the departments are just as ready for this. You don't prepare for an OSHA visit the day of. It's what you do every day. And it's the support that all of you and the judge have put into our safety program that made this consultation come out the way it is. And I want to say thank you to all of you. Any questions?
Yeah, good job.
No, no, y'all want me to sit down too? Okay, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to, just to comment that I do appreciate the work that Joy and Richard put into what they do. And I was a little concerned about the OSHA visit. It's always a little bit of a risk, but I knew that with Richard's background, that he could get out there and do a preliminary check, and I know they found a few things that they're able to fix, and the more you think about it, the more it's like it's good. It's good to have them come in and from their expert view of safety and environmental issues that we stay on top of it, and because safety is, in my opinion, is key for this organization, for any organization, for any company, anyone that's out doing anything. Safety is very important. So I appreciate the work that you guys are doing on that. We'll continue to focus on it, continue to improve as time goes on. So thanks a lot. Okay, so there are some written reports included, and so that we'll just move on to see excuse me, if there's any citizens' concerns or comments today. All right, seeing none, we will move on then to ordinances. We have before us two ordinances, the first reading of both of these today. The first one, number 332-3, Series 2023. This amends fiscal year 2023-24 budget, the current budget that we're in. And these amendments are basically reflect unbudgeted increases or decreases in receipts to cover various accounts, such as road department discretionary funds, which were not budgeted, and thankfully that we received to repair and to work on Upper Colesburg Road. We received $313,000 to do that. So that needed to be budgeted in. And so we have things like new ambulances purchased that we decided to do, and so that is taken care of here. Extra costs for insurance and workers' comp. We had, I think, budgeted 3% something, and it came in at 16% increase in insurance. So all those things have to be amended and taken care of. So it all amounted to about $2 million worth of amendments. So these were presented at the Finance Committee meeting, and so basically need a motion to approve this first reading of the ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion, but it was good to get that comment from Lisa. The property tax came in, the amount allowed us to be able to balance out with only, I think, what, $8,000 out of the surplus. So that was excellent information.
Yeah, I think she said we need about 150,000, and came in awfully close to that.
Yep.
So yeah, much appreciated there. Any other discussion? All right, ready for roll call.
Squire Clem,
Yes.
Squire Hicks,
Yes.
Squire Muse,
Yes.
Squire Pennington,
Yes.
Squire Saltzman,
Yes.
Squire Thompson,
Yes.
Squire Whitehead,
Yes.
Squire Yates,
Yes.
Judge Tall.
Yes, motion passes. All right, let's move on then to the second item. This is the first reading of Ordinance 339, Series 2024. This has to do with the certification of recovery residences in Hardin County. And I have the ordinance here in front of me, and of course it's been available for anyone to look at it. I did want to kind of read some of it, not all of it. It's pretty long, and but at least some of it, just to for those of you that may not have had a chance to look at it, so you have a better understanding of what's going on with this ordinance. So it says, whereas Hardin County acknowledges the need for effective recovery residences to address substance abuse as part of the comprehensive addiction recovery services in Hardin County. And whereas the lack of minimum operating standards or regulations relating to recovery residences, recovery homes, sober living residences, and alcohol, illicit drug, and other intoxicating substance-free homes for unrelated individuals has created an environment for some operators of such facilities to take advantage of persons in need of such recovery services. And whereas KRS 67.083, item 3, enables a county to pass ordinances related to the provision of public health facilities and services, and which govern structures intended for human occupancy. And it goes on to say, and therefore be it ordained as follows. And it talks about some definitions in the ordinance, and some certifying organization. It could mean several different things, but talks about the Kentucky Recovery Housing Network, the National Alliance for Recovery Residences, NARR, and Oxford House, and basically kind of another covering other organizations that administer professional certification programs. Talks about the city, and as you'll see, we've been able to collaborate and partner with the city of Elizabethtown. Very thankful for that. And then it goes on and talks about recovery residence, what it means. Has some definitions in here of what that means. Item B is enforcement, and that was one that we had some concerns about because, you know, to do this, you have to be able to enforce this type of an ordinance. And so we'll talk here in a moment about an interlocal agreement with the city of Elizabethtown to help us with that. Certifications are required, and this will go into effect July 1st, 2024. And it talks about how that will happen. Like I said, I don't want to read the whole thing here, but just to kind of give you an idea of what's in here. And let's see, powers and duties of Hardin County and the city of Elizabethtown. And it goes through what Hardin County's responsibilities are in the city as we have been able to negotiate with them and work with them. And requirements for recovered residences. It goes into all the details about that, what that requires. Several pages of that. Administration, enforcement, and then goes into the penalties. I did want to point out one on item 4 in this section that talks about that all notices will be sent to the property owner. So the property owners are the ones that are ultimately responsible to make sure that these residences are certified. Correct me if I say something wrong, okay?
Great.
All right, so far, okay. And then talks about records, violations, and the notice to the person responsible and a compliance officer that we'll talk about some in the other document where we talk about how to enforce. So I think that pretty much covers it, but you know, if you're interested in knowing more detail, I believe that we've got, as far as we know, we have one recovery residence in Hardin County. There could be others. This is compared to Elizabethtown that has 150 some residences. So huge difference there. But I think one of the reasons that we wanted to, when I was talking to Mayor Gregory, you know, one of the concerns he had, and it seemed logical to me, is that if there's some of the recovery residences that don't want to become certified, or they aren't doing the right things, that if they get shut down in Elizabethtown, there might be some tendency for them to move someplace else. And Hardin County could be one of those places, along with some of the other cities in the county. So we wanted to get ahead of this thing and make sure that that doesn't happen. And so that's the reason that I think we jumped on this pretty quickly. Of course, obviously I didn't write this. Our county attorney did, and with working with the city attorney and Ken Howard, and I think came up with a really good ordinance here. So with that, I need a motion to approve this first reading of this ordinance.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Judge, just wanted to offer, there's actually an error, which I can't, Fred, I count on you to find my errors. There's an error on page 3 on a date. Just to be clear, the effective date for us will be July 1st, 2024. There is a partial grace period there. Anyone who does not have certification by October, but who has applied by July 1st will be allowed to operate through October. It's an annual certification. For us in the county, as Judge Tall mentioned, we don't have a code enforcement board. It doesn't make sense at this point for us to hire an enforcement officer for one residence, and so the city of E-Town has graciously agreed to let us borrow their resources for that. But it also includes these recovery residences have to be certified by the state, by one of these organizations, but also comply with our local ordinances, which include septic and other matters. So that will enforce all of those. So, and I think it's a great proactive measure to make sure we have integrity in the treatment that's being provided. So.
Very good, thank you.
Do we need to amend what's on the?
I'll correct it. It's not really an amendment.
Okay.
Just be aware that that date will be changed.
Okay.
It's just a clerical error, and I'll make sure that I get BK the right copy. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
no problem. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we were doing it right.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
I think County Attorney hit on a key word, integrity of the treatment. We've got a huge problem in this Commonwealth all across the nation, but E-Town has really gotten hit hard. I've heard numbers was 153, 173. I don't know. It just keeps going. So I really appreciate your working with the city and getting this together. And we're fortunate to only have one. We're very fortunate.
Right. We are. And again, you know, the county is definitely not against recovery houses. We know there's a need, and we just are concerned about those that may take advantage of people that are in need of recovery. And so I'm hopeful that this certification process will take care of that. Okay, all right, ready for roll call?
Squire Clem?
Yes.
Squire Hicks?
Yes.
Squire Muse?
Yes.
Squire Pennington?
Yes.
Squire Saltzman?
Yes.
Squire Thompson?
Yes.
Squire Whitehead?
Yes.
Squire Yates?
Yes.
Judge Tall?
Yes, motion passes. All right, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Item A, which are the claims, and just kind of some typical financial activity there. And then if you jump down to I, I'll throw that one in there as financial transfers, resolution 26. That are both financial types of items that are included in this. We have a couple of resolutions related to personnel, 19 and 20, and then G, also 24. So if you put those three together, we've got personnel changes that those are dealing with. Move on to Resolution 21, 2024-21, related to Lincoln Trail Ad interlocal agreement. This is in regard to Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program. And I just wanted to make read a little bit about this, because I think it's important as we jump into this agreement with Lincoln Trail Ad, that this agreement provides data collection assistance, stakeholder guidance, and public involvement support by Hardin County to the Lincoln Trail Area Development District to assist in meeting the needs of the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program. And so this agreement is entered into with Lincoln Trail Ad and Hardin County to establish an agreement for Hardin County to provide assistance support activities leading to the development of road safety action plans. And this includes the identification of safety improvements for Hardin County. And safety action plans developed through this agreement will meet the requirements of several things here. So, so that's basically what this is, and goes into scopes of service and the amount of money that Hardin County will be paid to help with this this study. It amounts to up to $13,000, a little over $13,000, and you know, at the end of the day, we end up with a better understanding of our roads and how safe they are or not safe. As part of this, we needed to develop a Vision Zero statement, and I wanted to read this also to make sure we all understand what's going on here. And this is a Vision Zero is a strategy to eliminate all traffic fatalities and severe injuries while increasing safe, healthy, and equitable mobility for all. Working towards the goal of zero deaths requires a safe system approach to planning, which acknowledges that humans make mistakes and that these mistakes need to be counteracted as best as possible to reduce death and serious injury. There's 5 key principles: prevent crashes and fatalities. Number 2, design for human mistakes limitations. Number 3, control speeding through design. Number 4, individual responsibility. And number 5, proactively identify and address risks. And so we believe that the goal of zero roadway deaths in the future is what we as a community need to be working towards to provide safe modes of transportation. And so that's what this Vision Zero statement, which is part of this agreement. Okay, so that's what we've got included there. Also, we have, and we've discussed in committee the number 22 and number 23 resolutions, and that has to do with the study by Water District number 2 They're using a consultant to develop a strategy for future needs in the southern Hardin County wastewater and treatment, trying to understand where we need to go with that as we see growth in that part of the county. You know, what types of infrastructure do we need to make improvement, and what does that need to look like? What's our strategy? Do we need a sewer treatment plant in that area, for instance? Is one question that this study will help us to understand. And so we are providing out of our ARPA money $187,500 to the Water District Number 2 to pay for this study. So that's what those two resolutions allows us to do. And then we have a Resolution 25 related to the Kentucky Department of Transportation, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid, bridge repairs on Middle Creek Road. That will cost about $160,000 for that bridge to be repaired, and this money that we'll get back will be $80,000, so it'll pay for half of it. And then we have Resolution 27. This is related to the bids for road materials like salt and pipe and crushed stone, asphalt, these things that we've reviewed in committee. There's also a mini excavator, approximately $67,000 that we are approving and with Resolution 28. And then finally, Resolution 29 related to the interlocal agreement with the City of Elizabethtown. And this is, again, what we've just talked about with the ordinance, the certification of recovery residences. So this is the enforcement part that we've been able to work out this agreement with the City of E-Town. And again, appreciation to Mayor Gregory and Attorney Ken Howard, and of course our County Attorney Jenny Oldham, to make this all possible and at the end of the day improve the health of folks in our county and take care of that. So with that, with this resolution, it allows us to basically enforce and use Elizabethtown's system of enforcement, and so they'll take care of that. And so I'm very happy about that. The last items are committee meeting minutes from the Finance Committee meeting, and then the special called Finance Committee meeting, and then Public Works Committee meeting. All of that in the consent agenda. And so we do need a motion to approve these agenda items.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call.
Squire Clem.
Yes.
Squire Hicks.
Yes.
Squire Muse.
Yes.
Squire Pennington.
Yes.
Squire Saltzman.
Yes.
Squire Thompson.
Yes.
Squire Whitehead.
Yes.
Squire Yates.
Yes.
Judge Tall.
Yes, motion passes. All right. We'll go on into our comments, and so does our county attorney have any comment?
I do, Judge. Thank you. I wanted to introduce our treatment coordinator through the county attorney's office, Katie Bennett, and thank the Fiscal Court. Thanks for being here, Katie. So thanks to Fiscal Court, who appropriated phase 1 of our opioid settlement funds, at least Hardin County's portion, to the county attorney's office. We've been able to hire what I believe is the first ever treatment coordinator in a county attorney's office for drug treatment. And so Katie's a native of Hardin County. She graduated from Elizabethtown High School, graduated from Western with both her bachelor's and her master's in public health. Most recently, she worked as a research coordinator with the University of Kentucky on this Stay Safe study. What she's doing with us, and she just started January 9th, so a lot of what she's doing is kind of integrating into the criminal court system and learning what that looks like. But she's assessing local treatment, and when I say local, regional treatment providers, again, to ensure the integrity of that treatment We want to make sure that anytime we're referring, and when I say referring, it's through a court order, we're not just suggesting, but when we're court ordering drug treatment, we want to make sure that that program is sound, that it's the right type of treatment for that person, and that it's not profit motivated, but it is motivated to improve people's lives. And so that's a large part of what she's doing here on the front end is assessing treatment providers so that we know that they have integrity. So she's also facilitating and already has been successful through the court system, facilitating nonviolent and non-drug trafficker offenders who are charged with drug charges, if they're appropriate for a treatment bed, getting them into a treatment bed rather than a jail bed. And so she's already had at least 2 cases. Okay. And she's just been here since January 9th, but 2 cases that she's been able to already make that assessment and get them in to treatment that is covered for cost, and to get them to a bed straight from jail to that bed. So we're excited on what that could do. I know as a community, we put a lot of resources toward treatment, and it would be nice to be able to measure that we've moved the needle, that we see lives that are improving for the person who's dealing with the addiction, and we know that also includes their family, their community. So we're excited that this could do great things. So thank you all for entrusting those funds to the county attorney's office, and we intend to provide feedback on how successful this is. So I just want to make sure you knew Katie, and thanks, Katie, for coming on board with us. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Katie. All right, how about our county clerk? I know you've given me some good news just a while ago. So
well, we're still dealing with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet's CAVIS rollout. It is running better today than when it rolled out on January 9th. We are seeing transactions move a little faster. There is still a lot of old data and some bad data. There are still bugs in the system, but the team is working through them. The programming team is working through them. They're reporting it. Today was probably the best day we've seen all year. We'll see what tomorrow looks like in the next day. But I want to thank my staff for persevering through all this. When every day is a marathon, it's a tough day. I want to acknowledge our county attorney for treating my staff very, very well. She bought them lunch one day and didn't have to do that. We had actually a couple of companies in town who've also done a similar thing. We got one last week and one coming tomorrow. They've recognized, they've been in and they've seen how hard the staff are working, and want to just acknowledge them. And I tell you, it seems like a small gesture, but they were smiling a whole lot better on those days, so thank you. That means a lot to us. We also have a special election coming up on March 19th. That is for the now vacant 26th House seat, formerly held by Russell Weber. We want to, those impacted precincts in Hardin County are West Point, Fort Knox 26, and Radcliffe Southeast. If you're not sure whether that impacts you or not, you can go to govote.ky.gov and you can look up your status as a voter and find out whether or not you're eligible to vote. We encourage everybody who's eligible to do so. And the dates and times of the elections are available on our Facebook page or our website. Finally, I want to announce an additional service that the clerk's office is providing. You all know I've been very much trying to step on the gas to see what more we can offer our community and our constituents. And from the time I was elected, before I was even sworn in, I had a lot of people hit me up on what they call property fraud, property theft, people filing false documents in their names and whatnot, and a lot of fear. This actually is a real crime, and it's a growing crime in other states. We've not seen it a lot here, but we want to get in front of it rather than behind it. So we're offering to all citizens what we're calling Property Check in Hardin County. It costs you nothing to sign up. And you go to our website, you can sign up for Property Check, and you'll get a notice anytime a document is filed in your name. We encourage you to use any variation of your name. You go on and you create an account. If you've ever created a social media account, an Amazon account, this account is easier to create than those. And you can put your name, your spouse's name, your children's name, all in your account, and you will get, by your choice, either an email or a text alert anytime something is recorded in our office with those names. We strongly recommend you use email. Some cell providers will block the text as potential spam, but you have that option to select both. I've gone ahead, created an account. It has my name in it, has my spouse's name in it, has our children's names in it, and my parents as well. My parents don't live here, but they own property in Hardin County. This is something that we think will be a sense of a peace of mind and not cost you a stiff fee that a private company may offer, and we're pleased to offer this. There's more details that will be available on our website and Facebook page for this. So thank you all.
Well, thanks. That's impressive. Appreciate you all offering that. Magistrate Yates.
I just want to remind everyone that our Emergency Service Committee meeting will be this Thursday, February 15th at 3:30 across the hall.
Right. Magistrate Saltzman.
I have nothing, Judge.
Magistrate Whitehead.
Yes, I know probably most people have read this in the paper, but Hardin County was recently recognized as a recovery-ready community, and we're just one of few in Kentucky to receive that distinction. Along with the health department, counties, treatment providers, first responders, recovery advocates, local residents, we have prioritized a strong recovery-oriented system of care for those with substance use disorders in our community. So I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of that. I know that the folks at the Lincoln Trail District Health Department put a lot of work into that along with others, and we're really proud of it. Actually, Governor Bashir signed a proclamation declaring February 7th as Recovery Advocacy Day. So just want to mention that. And speaking of which, I was honored to attend the drug court treatment graduation yesterday, which was the 25th anniversary. That also, I think, is in today's paper. And it was just, it was amazing. 20 graduates at this 25th graduation ceremony, and just the humbleness of those graduates receiving their certificates I was overwhelmed with pride to know that our community, our county, invest in their recovery. They're all very important folks, and they all have a contribution to make to this community. So I want to congratulate each and every graduate that was honored with that certificate yesterday. Also, we have the Resources and Community Support Committee meeting is Thursday, February 26th. That would normally be on the 19th, but that's President's Day, which is the county government will be closed, of course, so that will be on the 22nd. And finally, happy Valentine's Day to everyone. And the reason I mention Valentine's Day is simply because, you know, it's a good time to reach out and tell someone how much you care about them and how important they are in your life. And if you can't find anyone to tell, just look at yourself and tell yourself, I love you. And put value in what you do every day and make it count. If that's all you do for Valentine's Day, you've done a lot. So with that, I'll quit talking. Thank you.
Thanks for the reminder, Patsy. Now I can go to the store tonight and get something for my wife.
Yes, you need to.
All right, Magistrate Clem.
Thank you, Judge. I, too, attended yesterday at the specialty court ceremony, and the dedication that I saw and have seen over the years of those that in their court system for those individuals that's going through the treatment center, or the program, that is not an easy program. And those candidates to persevere through months of treatment program, it was just amazing, like Patsy said, to hear the testimonies from each one of them. But I just want to congratulate our judicial system for their commitment, because of every judge and their staff. They showed so much compassion yesterday, and as I watched it and I heard the testimonies, I thought of two words: love works. And it does, because it was obvious that they all invested themselves into those candidates. And so it was just really a great program, and I appreciate all the effort of our judicial system. Also, I want to announce our next Finance Committee meeting. Seems like that's all I've done the last 2 weeks is announce Finance Committee meetings, but our next one is February the 20th across the hall at 3:30. Just want to remind folks, please don't drink and drive, and don't text and drive.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Pennington?
No comment, Judge.
Okay. Magistrate Thompson?
Judge, I was privileged to also attend the 25th anniversary graduation of 20 people who have gone through the Hardin County Specialty Courts, Drug Court, for treatment and graduation. Highly successful program, one that Hardin County has been pretty much a pioneer in and led the way, and that's to the credit of those who serve in the legal capacity in our county. Much work on the part of our own county attorney in establishing it, and I really appreciate each one. I've known personally people who've gone through the program and heard personal testimony, and it has changed lives and set them on a course for success. It has saved lives. We heard from one young man, a very young man, who pointed out that it actually saved his life. He was faced with ending his life, but drug court was key in him living today. And I just want to simply thank our community and our court system for establishing such a caring, successful entity as drug court. And in line with Valentine's Day is all about love, and from my perspective, there's no love known without the Lord God. There's a scripture that says the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And second unto this is to love your neighbor as yourself. As you look around you, people, find a way to care for your neighbor, acts of kindness and care, convey the love that we were meant to share with one another. I want to challenge again our community to keep our community a place that's safe, drive safely, care for and respect the environment. Please don't litter. It is beginning to be a challenge to keep it litter-free. And our jailer, Josh Lindblom, does so much to stay ahead of that, but it should not require all that effort. It would be very little effort on the part of each individual to simply not dispose of trash by throwing out your window. Put it in the proper place. I beg you to do that. I beg you to be aware of driving safely and reasonably so that we don't create danger for our fellow citizens. Thank you.
Magistrate Hicks.
The only thing, and I've mentioned this before, but just reach out to the people in Hardin County. We're all setting up here to serve you. And if you have a problem, if you have an issue and you can't make it to fiscal court, call us and let us know. We're here to serve you. And that's what we're here for. The other thing, we're really sheltered here in Hardin County and really in Kentucky. Every morning I get up and watch the news, and every morning there is a catastrophe somewhere else. Memphis, Tennessee, last night. It's all over our country, and I just asked everybody if they would just pray every night for your family and for our country. It's getting scary, and I don't mean to be a person that dwells on negative stuff, but our country is in terrible, terrible shape. And I just ask you to just pray for our country. Pray for your family. Pray for Hardin County.
Magistrate Muse.
No comments, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, so again, a reminder for our next Fiscal Court meeting is Tuesday, February 27th at 5:30 p.m. It's already been mentioned, but just another reminder that February 19th, President's Day, offices are closed. And I believe that's about it. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Any objections? Meeting adjourned.